So we've got a whole list of your outstanding questions submitted for head coach Ryan Huska and our general manager Craig Conroy. But maybe first, guys, if we could just start with a little sense of how things been going. Obviously, training camp is winding its way to the finish. We're a week away from the season opener, and just thoughts from both of you guys about what we've seen here to this point and where we're at.
Yeah, obviously very excited right from Penticton to see how well our young guys did, and then to come to main camp, and it just carried over. Just a real good atmosphere. I think the whole atmosphere around the team, around the room, really excited. And we got off to a good start. We had a good, again, I know exhibition games are exhibition games, but, I thought the guys played hard every night, and you can see what Ryan's trying to implement. And, we're ready to get this thing going now.
Yeah, and I agree with Craig. We're pleased with how the players came back. They were in good shape, so we're pretty excited about that. And we're pleased with how hard they've worked through camp. So that was something that was important for us. We made it a challenging camp on purpose, and they did a great job with it. So now we're looking forward to the next phase.
All right, let's get to some fan questions if we can, and I want to start with Nathan because it really plays into the camp, and I know this one's for Husk, and just I know coaches probably love this one, but it's about who surprised you at camp this year, the benefit of having some roster-worthy players pushing for spots, and who really popped to you during camp?
That's a good question, Nathan. I think it was Nathan.
Nathan is right, yeah.
There's a few, and I think they're probably the obvious ones. Sam Honzik is one guy for sure that's come in and done a very good job for us. The young Grushnikov, he was sent down a few days ago, but he was someone that really left a lasting impression on me and the rest of our coaching staff just for the way he approached his camp. So another young guy that we're very excited about. And maybe another guy off the top of my head would be Sam Morton. Another younger player that had a little bit of time with the Wranglers at the end of the season last year, and he came back and made an impression. And training camp often for younger players is what it's all about. You want to leave an impression on the people that I guess you're trying to impress. And I think those three guys for sure have done that, and hopefully they'll continue to play well for us moving forward.
It's great. Nathan also had one for you, Craig, and that's how much quieter is your phone this year than last year at this time? With people looking to trade players, when do you think the trade season will really pick up this year?
I think for sure. Last year we were a challenging year. We had a few unrestricted free agents and guys that the uncertainty, and it definitely was busy. It was busy right from now all the way through to the trade deadline. So I'll be honest, it's been really quiet, which is good. And I think, it just with the guys we brought in, with their veterans coming back, we just want to start the season. We want to see how this team goes. And, I think like anything, you never know when anything's going to pick up. You just got to take it day by day. And, that's my job, is to always answer the calls and see what's available and what's out there. And, for right now, though, it's nice to have it be very, very quiet.
Nathan, 2 for 2. Good questions, good answers. I'm going to stick with you, Craig, for this one. It's from Jesse Thomas. He's regarding drafting and development. What are some examples of innovative tools, approaches that you use for vetting and targeting prospective players?
Well, it's amazing. I think even when I first started on this side 13 years ago, the background we do on the players in the draft, we see them on the ice, but you're going to people that have teachers that know them. Anybody that we know and background that we can do just to have a little kind of edge up on them. We speak to them. It's funny, I got a call from an agent yesterday, and Terry Dorn, our scout in Ontario, he's already meeting the kids already. So he's going through the interview process. Matt Brown, our sports psychologist here, he's with us all the way. He really leads the interviews at the Combine. But we're always looking for a little edge. We actually just started our analytic department, came out with something yesterday, very exciting. They kind of give the strength and weaknesses of every player analytically. So the development team will actually, they see it on the ice and they'll talk to the guys, but now they even have the analytics to back it up. So we're always trying to improve and get better. And you know what? It's great because the kids are very open to it. They want to know. They want to see the numbers. I win battles. I don't win battles. I make plays. I'm better in the offensive zone than the defensive zone. So it's always evolving. We're always trying to get better, and we still have a long ways to go, but I'm excited the direction we're going in.
It's good stuff. And on that note of kind of, maybe behind the scenes a little bit of what you guys are doing in terms of, roles and responsibilities. This question's from Ray, and we met obviously the entire coaching staff, but what are some of the important roles your assistants play to contribute to team success, something that maybe a fan wouldn't be aware of?
There's probably too many to list. They're a real important, I don't know if you call them a piece or not, but in order for the team to run the right way, they're invaluable. So there's a lot of work that they do in regards to pre-scouting opponents. There's a lot of individual work with the players, so they have a little different relationship with the players than maybe what I would have. At times, I don't want to say they're nicer. I don't think that's the right word. But sometimes with the assistant coach, they feel a little bit more comfortable in certain areas and in certain discussions. So the time and effort that those guys put in help prepare our team to go out and play. And then the work that they do with the individual players and groupings of players, whether that's lines or pairings on the back end, I feel like it's immeasurable. So we were so fortunate to have such a great staff here this year, and I'm looking forward to really getting to work with all of them.
Well, and on that note, I think this kind of plays nicely into Steven's question, which about coaching strategy, is if it's changed from last year now that the team is much younger. And, I'll preface that, but, in some ways, the youth of the team kind of plays into the full roster. When you look at it, there's still some veterans on this club too.
Sure, and I've heard that over the course of the summer it's going to be a younger team, and yeah, marginally it is, but we still do have a pretty good group of older players that we're going to lean on every day. I don't know if it's so much changing strategy based on the team we have. I think you always have to look at the group that you're going to have when you go into a season and make some adjustments along the way. One thing we're going to try to do is be more aggressive up the ice, and if you want to call it checking more in the offensive zone. I think our players have done a good job of picking that up. And I think it's a way that we can be harder to play against. So we're going to continue to do that, hopefully starting in Vancouver.
Well, and you mentioned over the offseason, too, just watching what works in the league, too, and maybe, changing strategy. I don't know if it's strategy changing, but just sort of adjusting to where the league's going, too, right?
I think you have to. You have to steal from other teams. And if you can find a way to incorporate something that's worked, whether it's from a team that won the Stanley Cup last year or a team that we've had a hard time playing against, you have to find a way to look at them, evaluate them, steal, borrow, rob, whatever you want to call it from them. And if it seems to work for your team, you have to find a way to try to incorporate those ideas, because that's the beauty of the NHL. There's a lot of great and smart coaches that try different things, and if you can try to get ahead of it a little bit and find something that is working, it might give your team a competitive advantage.
Leads nicely into this question from David. Connie, it's directed to you, but Husk, feel free to weigh in, obviously. What would you say is the identity of our team, or what are you aiming to build? From David.
The first thing, we always want to be a competitive team, but I actually want to let Husk is the one that preaches it every day, so I'll let him go. I mean, there's lots of things I want to see on a daily basis, but Husk has kind of the say in this.
Yeah, I think the number one thing that we have to be known for is work. I mean, that's something that I feel like you can win games if you have that mindset throughout your lineup that we're going to outwork our opponent. And then the next biggest thing for me a lot of times is consistency. So it's one thing to be able to outwork someone for a period or two periods, but can you do it for a full 60 minutes? Can you do it game after game after game? And our expectation this year is that our players will do that, and they will do it consistently. So if someone's going to leave the Saddle Dome here after a game, win or loss, they should be saying, man, that's a hard team to play against. And if that's what teams are saying about us, then I think we're doing things the right way.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. This question, Connie, for you. The 2024 draft seen as one of the best drafts for the Flames in recent history. This is from Harmon, by the way. What led to the change in philosophy, drafting higher ceiling players, higher skilled players, as before the players at size were predominantly targeted in the earlier rounds? That was the question from Harmon.
Yeah, I think, we're always just looking for the best players. Obviously, this year we really felt like skill, scoring, you just see the way the league's going. I mean, you want to bring in as much talent as you can. So we thought if we could get ahead, find as many skilled players as possible. And we were just lucky with the way the draft kind of every draft's different, but it felt like every time we were sitting there, I thought Basha was going to be gone, to be totally honest. Hoping he wasn't. He was there. We were able to get him, and it kind of went down through the whole list. So it was an exciting draft. I will say it was pretty amazing at the Sphere. You know, my neck was hurt looking up, seeing everything, but it was pretty special. If that was the last draft to have in person, it was. Hopefully, it's going to be the one that goes down as one of our best drafts ever.
If I can just say one thing to that, normally in our development camp that we have in the summer, there's always a scrimmage to end it, and the score at the end of it is usually 2-1 or 3-2. I think this year it was 12-8. And for a coach, it's probably not the greatest thing for a score like that, but you could see the skill set for the young guys that are being incorporated into our lineup. So we're really excited about the work that they were able to do.
It's okay in July, right? July is okay?
It's okay in July.
And on that note, I mean, I remember just sitting up in the crowd, and I'm sure there was people here. There was a lot of oohs and ahs, and as an organization, when you have skill that can generate some oohs and ahs, I'd imagine you're excited about that moving forward too. Let's talk a little bit. One more for Connie, and then we'll move back to Husk here. But just 2 years in, this one's from Francesca. 2 years in, how has moving the Wranglers to Calgary impacted the development of young players in the organization? Because it fits kind of on the means of the 2024 draft. Have you noticed an impact on the team player culture being so close to your farm team?
Well, first of all, I think it's amazing being in the same city. Just from my own point of view, I get to come to every home game that I'm here and get to watch the guys. So instead of watching it on video, or I can walk down, talk to the coaches, talk to them about players, who's playing well, who isn't playing well, and I can actually talk to them too. I mean, it's a little bit easier when you're just right in the same city. And even a couple times last year, we've had guys that were sick right before the game. To be able to call somebody up was just an extra perk. But I think it's also to see those young guys come to some games, and they're invested. This is where they want to be, and to be able to come to some of the home games and watch that is amazing. And overall, I thought about when I was playing in the minors, I would have loved to have played in the same city. It means a lot. I think it means a lot to me, but it means a lot to the guys too.
Husk, this one, I'm going to combine two here, I think. Rocco has the first one about how you choose your lines, how do you make adjustments to lines. And I'm just going to throw this other one from Curtis in, who's asking about trying different players at center. Who are, looking at Sharon Govich or Pospisil or Zeri, what the criteria of a guy to play center. So I'm going to put those in there both for you.
Okay, you might have to remind me the second.
Sure.
But a lot of times with our lines, you try to find a couple guys that seem to have some chemistry together. So I can use Michael Backlund and Blake Coleman as guys that have played together for a long period of time, and they have a really nice chemistry together. They know how they're going to play the game. So it's trying to find someone to play with them that we feel that will kind of match the skill set that those guys bring to the table. So oftentimes when we're looking at putting together lines, you try to find the two guys that are really good together, and then you can add on the other side. Sometimes it comes down to opponent, who you're going to play. Do we need to have a little bit more of a physical presence? Do we need to have a little bit more speed in the lineup? All those decisions come into play. And probably the last one with that is who's playing well. Who's really playing well, who's maybe struggling a little bit, because there are times when you have to take a player out of the lineup just to give them a breather, to get their feet underneath them again. And compared to a player who's really feeling it, like those are situations where you can move someone up the lineup if they're having a great game and try to spark another line. So those are a few of the things that we look at when we're creating our combinations. Now, the center question's a tough one. So all three of those guys that we're talking, Sharon Govich, Zari, Pospisil, they all bring something a little different to the table, but when you're looking for a guy to play the middle of the ice, you want someone that's responsible at both ends, number one. Now, each of those guys does something a little different, so you have to look at who they're going to be playing with at times, kind of going back to the point of my first answer. Depends on what that line needs. So right now, when we look at Pospisil, we're giving him an opportunity with Huberdeau and Mantha to start the season. Because we really like the speed that he brings to that line, and there's a little bit of dragging his line mates into the game because he plays the game with such kind of a reckless style. So all three of those guys are really good players, and to be able to move back and forth like they can, it's a positive for our organization.
Well, I will say one thing. Center's the hardest position in the NHL, and you have to be the smartest player to do that. Anybody can play wing or defense. I couldn't play goalie, but... Just kidding, guys.
A little biased, maybe. A little biased. Actually, maybe this ties into Ray's question. We'll just bring this one in right now. As the Saddle Dome's history writes its final few chapters here, what are the most powerful and personal memories for you, Connie, as you think about the time in the Dome?
Well, obviously, the 04 run was amazing. I was thinking about it. I didn't even realize when I first got to Calgary, there was that upper level. So before the first game, I remember I heard him chanting, "Go Flames, go." So I was in the hall and I walked out and I looked up there. I'm like, there's seats up there? I just couldn't believe it. So that was one, and that whole run was pretty special with the Red Mile and, something we'll never forget. And then I think for me, the next best special thing was when I came back from LA, when I got traded back and I was on the bench, and just the ovation I got when I looked up at the Jumbotron, that was something I'll never forget.
It's great. We all remember that. All right, let's get a couple more. I think we got a couple minutes here left to try to get. There's so many good questions, so we don't want to leave out any, but we got a couple more that we can squeeze in. Let's look for Husk here. I wanted to ask you one on leadership. With great leadership on your roster, this is from Mitchell. With great leadership on the roster, do you find that players naturally move into a mentorship role with younger players, or is that done with a conversation with management or coaching staff?
I find it's more of a natural thing for the older player to move into that, and I think a little of it is probably because someone's done that for them when they were a younger player. So it's almost like, hey, I was in this young guy's shoes before. I know this is a difficult situation. I've been through it. I know I can help this guy out. And Naz last year, if you want to look at it that way, he played with two young players that hadn't played the NHL before in Posp and Zari. And you never asked him to do anything special, but you could see how he kind of changed his approach a little bit, because somewhere along the line, someone helped Naz out too. And I think when you look at our older players in particular, the 6 of them, I see that those traits, characteristics, whatever you want to call it, in all 6 of them, where they're helping people out. And it's evident right now. I like it because I think it's important for setting the right setting in your group dynamic, I guess you can say. They're really good people, but a lot of it is someone did it for them before us, so they feel like it's part of their responsibility now to kind of help these younger guys out.
And do you want to know who did it for Naz?
Please.
This person told me himself, Dion Phaneuf.
There you go.
So maybe we'll see if Naz thinks that too. But yeah, Dion said, I took him under my wing, Connie.
It's good. We'll save that for the player questions later. We'll get his side of that. This one's for you, Connie, and it's about the Oilers. What are your thoughts about the Oilers? I know.
Boo.
Sorry, I should have said. What are your thoughts about that team from up north? Only coming to Calgary once during the season. I find it hard to believe that the biggest rivalry only makes one trip. That question's from Byron? Byron.
That's a great question, and that bothers me. I mean, I do think as much as we don't like them, I want to play them. I do want to play them, and I think we should, that's why hopefully when we move forward, new CBA with everything's going on, love to make sure the rivalry games are back, where we get Edmonton 2 times a year at least.
Husk, I would imagine same feeling. Like those games do feel a little different when you're down there, right?
They're different games for sure. The atmosphere, even in the building, it's a totally different game, and the two teams hate each other, so it makes for entertaining hockey.
Absolutely, and we look forward to those ones as fans as well. This one for Husk from Kevin. How much of coaching at the NHL level is about teaching how to be a professional NHLer 24 hours a day?
I would say I think it's more now than it used to be, because there's so many younger players that are starting to stay in the NHL at a younger age. So it used to be when you came to the NHL, there wasn't any teaching. You just went out and played, and if you didn't do your job, you're gone. But the way the salary cap is now, you have to find a way to incorporate these younger players into it. So teaching has become a much bigger part of the job. So if you don't work to develop those younger players, then you're going to miss out on some things. So I think it's changed a little bit, and I think it's a real important part of the job now.
Connie, this one is for you, but from Kelly, and wondering what is the one thing that you want to see in the new arena, Scotia Place, the one thing you'd like to see?
Well, there's lots of things. The first thing I'm most excited about is the practice rink. So I would have loved to have a practice rink here. But after last night, I was trying to take the elevator up to my box, which is way up there, and it took like 20 minutes. I just want a new elevator. I mean, that'll be the real, the key for me. But I'm just excited, you know what, when we're doing the locker room right now and to see the shooting room and all the things that all the other teams have. I'm just excited. And for the fans, I didn't realize until the World Juniors were here. I'm hoping there's more bathrooms because I've never been on the concourse during a game, and I didn't know the lines. I'm like, wanted to go to the bathroom. I'm like, is this a line for the bathroom? They're like, yeah, I walked to my office. I'm like, that's just too long. So hopefully there's some more bathrooms for all of you.
Bathrooms in an elevator. I like
bathrooms
that.
in an elevator would be perfect, and a practice.
Great. I think we can all get on board with that. Last one for Huska. I think this one, and feel free again, Connie, you can weigh in on this one, but it's going to be about the goaltenders. How many games do you think each of our goalies will play this year? It's one of the hotter topics of training camp.
Really good question, but that's going to be like a short-term thing. So I'm not going to say that they're going to play 41 each. I'm not going to say that someone's going to play 60. I think a lot of it will be about the competition over the course of the year and who's playing better. We'll get more starts, but as of right now, we're really excited about the 3 guys that we've been able to see throughout the exhibition season and through our training camp. All 3 have given us chances to win, and we're really excited about them. So we're looking forward to seeing how these guys continue to push each other and help our team win games.
Well, and Connie, again, you feel free to weigh in, but just as you guys were watching, we talked about it yesterday briefly, but when you come in, you always want to have competition, and you mentioned that it not only did they have the competition in terms of the 3 guys in the crease there that you were referencing, but just the amount of competition, the way they played, and how good it was throughout camp.
And I think that wasn't just the goaltenders. I think that was pretty much throughout our roster. We had a lot of guys that maybe we weren't quite expecting to push for jobs. They most certainly did. And it's something that we're pretty excited about now because we have depth that should something happen, knock on wood, where we lose someone due to an injury or something like that, we know there are people now that are going to come up and do a great job for us. So I'm quite excited about that.
Last one that's on the sheet, and again, it could go to both of you, and I think we know where Connie stands on this one. It's from Shelton. It says, in today's NHL, what is more important for a team, a number 1 center or a number 1 goalie? So maybe we should wait for Connie's answer. Go to Huska.
We'll see what Huss says.
Both.
That is an answer. That is an answer.
Hey, listen, number 1 center is, like Connie said, center is the most important player on a team, right? But they are the guys that think it really well, and they often drive the play, they drive the game. Having a goaltender that's capable of making saves at the right time, to me, is equally as important. So oftentimes you build your team from goaltender through the middle of the ice. And I think they're both equally as important.
And then you just have defensemen, so.
They're there too. They're
there. No, they're pretty important.
No, it's all important. I guess really the end answer is they're all important. Hey, listen, thank you guys so much for providing some insight, not only this year, but a little bit more broad perspective in terms of coaching and management in today's NHL. So thank you for your time, and best of luck this season. Head coach Ryan Huska and General Manager Craig Conroy, everybody.
Thank you, guys.